Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Crick Tips. Today I'm going to show you guys how to effectively warm up prior to a gym session. Warming up is really important because it prepares you for that session that you're about to complete. So there's a really basic framework that I'm going to show you guys through today, and the framework will allow you to really progressively warm your body up. So one, you can move well in the gym, and two, you can move fast if you need to, and it reduces your overall risk of injury leading into the session. First of all, you guys need to warm your body up through some cardio. It's a good way to overall generally warm your body up and increase your core body temperature. Now, there are many ways that you can warm your body up through cardio, and obviously very dependent on what facilities you guys have got available to you. Here in the gym, we've got bikes, treadmills, rowers, and you can even do skipping. So it's whatever you have available to you, whether you're in your home or whether you're in the gym. There's always going to be something that you guys can do. My favorite personally, I love to jog and I like to skip. If you're going to jog on the treadmill, as a general rule, I always just say to the guys and girls that I work with, just break a sweat. And whether it takes you 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, however long that you need, just break a sweat. With skipping, I always just put a cap on it. It's either 100 to 150 skips, whether you're doing 2 feet or single foot. It really doesn't matter, but the technique has to be perfect. And if you're hitting 100 to 150 skips, you're definitely going to start sweating.
So here I'm on the Webb bike. You can choose any bike that you have available to you. But the idea and the main benefit here is to increase your intramuscular temperature. You want to be sweating, you want to be warm once you're finished. And like I said earlier, you can complete this for as long as you want, with a minimum of 5 minutes is my recommendation. That tends to be a good enough time to get a good sweat on.
If you're going to run on the treadmill, just use a self-selected speed. Whatever you're comfortable with, just use a little bit of trial and error. But today I'm running on 14 kilometers an hour.
Here I'm on the treadmill. Use a little bit of trial and error and select the speed that you're comfortable running at. Start a little bit slower and increase the speed as you go. 2 ways you can do it. So you can run 1,000 meters, which will generally take you between 4 and 6 minutes, or you can just set a time cap of 5 minutes and increase your speed.
So like I said earlier, one of my favorite warm-up cardio exercises is skipping. I'm still here in Dubai after the T20 World Cup, but unfortunately we don't have any skipping ropes, but I'll show you through an alternative that we can use. So here we go. 2 feet, hands on hips.
If you're not comfortable doing it continuously, then please feel free to break them up in 50 rep increments.
A cue you can use is make sure that you always are hearing a tap, tap, tap with your feet, and have an intention to not let your heels touch the floor. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a rower in your gym, then great. This thing right here is my nemesis. It's not my favorite, but I know it's very good for me because it warms up your entire body, your lower body and your upper body. Gets your heart rate going, gets the blood flowing very, very quickly. There are plenty of different types. This is Techno Gym. There's also Concept 2 rowers. So there's plenty there. Again, 500 to 1,000 meters will take you between 2 minutes and 4 minutes. So give that a crack too if you want to. We're now going to move into the activation part of the warm-up framework. So we're going to start with some lower body activation work, and then we'll move into some upper body.
So here we have a dual leg hip thrust. The purpose here is to engage your glutes and get full hip extension at the top. So in terms of reps and sets, I would do 2 sets of 20 for the dual leg and 2 sets of 10 each leg for the single leg hip thrust.
So the next 2 exercises I'm going to show you are for the hamstring and the groin. Now they're 2 exercises that I always use with my cricketers no matter what position, because the groins and the hamstrings are at the most risk for cricketers. You got to think about when you're running high speeds, when you're running and turning, changing direction, they are always under stress. So it's important that we are not only warm them up, but we activate them and making sure they are ready for the session at hand. Also, please do keep in mind that these are only 2 exercises that I've used, and only 2 of many. Once I see that an athlete or a person has completed these and are completing these well and have hit certain milestones, then I will progress them.
We want to place our foot as far away as we can, or as comfortable from your bum. As a general rule, the further away your heel is, the harder it will be. We want to get into a hip thrust position, fully extend our hips and squeeze our glutes at the top, and we want to hold that position 10 to 15 seconds. Every session aim to increase this by 5 seconds.
For the setup, you need a bench something that you can ideally put your legs through. However, a box is also really good. It's whatever equipment you have available. Start with your knee on, thrust up, making sure your hips and your knees are in line. Squeeze your glutes, no sinking down, glutes activated nice and strong, and all that load's coming through your groin.
Start with 1 set and then slowly build up to 2 sets.
And then you would swap over. I would start off with a 10 to 15 second target for your next milestone. Once you reach that, go up in 5-second intervals. The next activation exercise I'm going to show you are for your shoulders. Now there are a series of 3 exercises that I use called IYTs. Now these 3 exercises are really good for warming up your shoulders in all planes that your shoulder works through. So your shoulder is obviously a ball and socket joint, and it works in basically a 360-degree motion, and we're going to warm them up in front, mid and rear shoulder. Now if you're not familiar with these exercises, just use your body weight, meaning that you don't use any external weight to do these exercises and these movements. But for today I'm using 2.5 kilo dumbbells. You really won't need anything much more heavier. You probably could go up to 3, 4, 5 kilos maximum. But if you go too heavy, it's actually going to affect your movement efficiency. So here we go.
I've set the bench up on a slight incline, just slightly below 45 degrees. I'm using some very light dumbbells, but like I've said earlier in the piece, you can start with just body weight and not hold anything. I would start with 2 sets of 8 reps each movement for a total of 24 reps.
Now I would start with only 6 to 8 reps on each movement, meaning anything between 18 and 24 reps total per set. I would do 2 sets. So the next exercise is going to focus on your hip mobility. If you don't have a lot of equipment, general exercise equipment that you can use is either a Smith machine, a squat rack, or if you're lucky enough to have hurdles, then you can certainly use hurdles as well.
Sets of 1 to 2, depending how long the session is going to be and how stiff the hips are, of 20 reps. So between 20 and 40 reps total.
Now the next exercise is going to target your thoracic spine, which is the mid part here of your spine. Really crucial area of your body for batters, bowlers and keepers. I find that if your T-spine is restricted in mobility in both rotation and flexion and extension, again it's going to affect your shoulder and everything down from the T-spine and anything up. So generally if you've got shoulder issues, I find that your T-spine is either locked up or really restricted, so it's something that you need to be mindful of. So here's an exercise that will take you through rotation of your T-spine. Again, you can use a foam roller, or I've got some towels here. Crucial part of this exercise is that we want to make sure that we aren't twisting our lower back, our lower spine, our lumbar spine, because it's counterproductive of what we're trying to achieve. We want to keep your lumbar spine, which is here, down towards your hip bones, nice and stable and still, and just rotate through your thoracic spine. Here we go. Towels or foam roller, whichever you have available. This locks everything in, so your lumbar spine stays nice and still and it's not overly rotated down so it's twisted. This locks everything in. What we're going to do is we're going to breathe in, reach out, and then as we breathe out, we rotate out and try and get your scapula to touch the floor behind you. We want to try and be breathing out as we rotate. Try that, 10 reps times 2 each side. Now the last part of your warm-up framework is potentiation. Now generally it depends on the workout that you're going to be doing. So generally if you're going to be doing a power or speed workout, potentiation is crucial. What potentiation means is that you're going to excite your neural system to make sure that you are firing really quickly. Your muscle contractions are fast, both eccentrically and concentrically. So when you do start hitting your main reps, your neural system is ready, fired, and moving efficiently. So there are a number of ways in which you could potentiate your body and your neural system prior to a session. It also depends on what type of equipment you've got available to you. Here we've got med balls, which you can throw, you can toss, you can rotate, which will also excite the neural system. But an easy way to excite the neural system is through plyometrics and jump variations. And look, there are a ton of different variations, but what I'll do is I'll show you a couple of jump variations that we can do, and also show you 1 or 2 med ball or ballistic exercises that you could use as well.
I would do 2 sets of 10 reps continuously.
All hands for all momentum.
And you can take between 2 and 5 seconds between each rep to collect yourself and make sure that you're starting with the best technique possible.
So now with the med ball exercises, if you choose to use them for your potentiation, there are 2. One's a med ball slam and one's a med ball rotation. Now you certainly don't have to use both of them, but if I had to segregate them, the overhead slam would be used by pace bowlers and the rotational pass for batsmen. Now some key technical cues for the overhead slam, especially for pace bowlers. As a general principle, we need to be nice and tall and stiff through your trunk. Okay, and when you're overhead, you don't want to move here either. So you need to stay nice and stiff, keep the integrity nice and strong, and slam down through your lats. Now the batsman with the rotation, you can either do it 2 ways. You can stay nice and still if you want to work on your balance as well. You can rotate through your T-spine like we've just warmed up, and you can rotate and generate power through here and throw. Okay. Otherwise, if you want to improve your overall power through your hips, right up through your T-spine, then you can load through your back leg and drive through your back leg and open yourself up through your hips and throw it that way. Now with the med ball exercises, I've got a 2 kilo med ball here. Now weight actually does matter. I find that you want to stay in between the 2 and 4 kilo range. Anything heavier, your movement's just going to be a little bit too slow, and it's actually going to affect the biomechanics of your movement. We want to be firing in all joints and all muscles, and we actually really want to be quick, so you don't want to go too heavy.
Key setup points here is you've got to find a concrete wall that you can pass it against to. Otherwise, if you don't have this luxury, you can pass the ball to a partner where they'll pass it back to you. Now from a body position, shoulders should be at least shoulder width apart, and your hips should be facing forward, not towards the wall at all times.
I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to warm up properly for cricket. If you have any questions, please drop any comments in the comment section below.